All right, you ready to go, Max?
Absolutely.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Cans and Tomahawks podcast. Welcome to another great episode that I'm really excited about. Part of our 4-part series that we have with all of the playoff preview matchups for every division. And tonight is going to be another special one. But before we get to our guest, Alex, how are you doing tonight, man?
I am great. I am ready to just bury my face in my pillow and go to sleep for about the next 22 hours. And yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. No, fair enough. And with us tonight, coming back for another episode, friend of the podcast, Max Ritz. Dude, how are you doing tonight, man?
Fantastic, fellas. Couldn't be any better talking playoffs with a couple of studs. So no, I'm doing fantastic up here.
No, we appreciate it. I still see you're locked somewhere in your basement with your one Nashville thing on the wall. And is Clark giving you food and water at least? Is he somewhat keeping you somewhat taken care of down there in the basement?
Occasionally, I don't have a clock down here by any stretch. Like I say, he doesn't give me much but the bare essentials, just a jersey from 2017 to kind of stare at. And I think that's why he keeps me locked down here, to be quite honest with you. He's just a little envious of some playoff success compared to his Leafs. But it's like an every 14-hour schedule. Get a little food, get a little water. If he's feeling real kind, he might slip a little beverage into the old waters. So it just depends. But all depends on if the Preds are winning and the Leafs are losing, I guess. That's another telltale sign.
Yeah, right. And it brings you on for the RP show and the squad cast and stuff. Just try to be like, okay, he's still alive, he's still here, but we gotta keep him safe somewhere else.
100%,
of course. So obviously, we're going to be previewing the Central Division, and we'll go ahead and let you get it out of the way. Okay, you can go ahead and get it out of the way.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I was perfectly fine with bypassing this, but I mean, again, are the golf courses nice where you guys are at right now, or are things great? Good? Like the membership fees are nice and down with it being this early, all that fun stuff. It just kind of makes sure. I was just going to say, I really hope to see Johnny Taves out there at some point. For the Blue Jackets, I don't know, man. Maybe the new head coach coming in is going to dive in on these nice early membership discounts. But yeah, it was a tough one for you fellas. It was a tough slide near the end, Zach. I don't know what happened to you guys. Well, you ran into the buzzsaw that was the Nashville Predators. That's what happened to you guys. For Alex, man, I don't know. I have to be a little kinder to you because Clark and I were actually going through some cap friendly numbers. And I didn't realize how many key injuries that you guys had. When it comes to the actual name value that was down for you guys, I can see why things kind of fell off the rails a little bit. And the other thing that I guess is the saving grace for the Jackets is just the work that Jarmo Kekalainen did at the deadline, getting 3 picks for this upcoming first round in the NHL entry draft. Like I said, I think you guys will be okay. It'll be interesting to see where your guys' head coaching decision takes you. But yeah, man, it was a tough finish anyways. And Zach, I mean, it is what it is, dude. Like I said, we had to Chelsea dagger the knife right into your guys' heart for you to kill any playoff chances. But I know you guys will be back. You guys have a good young squad as well, too, with a lot of name values. So you'll be back. But sure. It's time to focus on some gold. That's for sure.
Well, gold, no one really likes mustard anyway. But yeah, no, it's just unfortunately the defense kind of fell apart and it didn't really help out our goalies at all because of the fact we even brought, Delia back up for a while, which everyone thought, like, why didn't you bring him back in March when our goaltending was struggling and stuff like that? And it was just like, yeah, you could tell the last couple months, it was like, no, the defense is just blatantly disappeared. Mm-hmm. And I think with 5 games left, the way they were playing, I'm like, these last 5 games will never end. Like the last 3 games, I'm like, I'm kind of ready for it to be over.
Yeah, no kidding.
We win the second to last game against the Stars, and it's like, oh, are we going to finish the season on a high note? Mm-hmm. Nope. Not even a little bit. So it's just.
And you know what? Again, like we talked about the injuries with Columbus, right? You guys were missing Kirby Dach for a more than better half of the season anyways. He came back, and again, you could tell that he'd been off for a while. And obviously missing your captain, Jonathan Taves, that's an irreplaceable hole, right? Yeah, I mean,
that was rough for sure.
You guys had an encouraging start, though, at the end of the day, right? I mean, there were some things to pull from. But yeah, like I said, it definitely, like the 7-0-1 record, I guess, for the Preds against the Blackhawks, that's the tough one to swallow if you're going to try to find your way into the playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's that does sting, in the fact that we lost Taser for the whole year. We did get Doc back, but at that point it's kind of like, I don't know. But DeBrincat, found his stroke. He pucked 30 goals. His swag's back. I think it was like over a normal A2 game season. I think you're talking about 40 tucks. Yeah. So I mean, I called it. I think he's going to do it 40 next year. We're going to have hopefully get Kubalik back. We're going to have Suter. We're going to have Kurashev. We got Mitchell. We got Kalynuk. We got Lankinen, however, hopefully, he comes back, okay. And, whether if they're going to bring Delia back or they're going to go get our goalie in the offseason, all really depends. And then, of course, you get Jonathan Toews back and they've got to figure out that blue line, because Zadorov was not it. And I'm like, I would love to have Brandon Saad right about now instead of Zadorov, because, I mean, I like Zadorov, but that was rough. And then it was just one of those things where it caught up to them in the end. But, the fact that I even said, like, they finished 6th, I'll be fine with it, because I knew this year was going to be, it's all about our rookies, see who we have, what are we going to build off of. And for the first, couple months, it was like, oh, 2nd, 4th place, looking good, kind of feeling good right about now. And then just mid-March happened, and it just kind of went off the rails. But I mean, I'll take some positives. I'll take the positives of how good of the start was. And we know we have some guys, and the fact that I'm kind of excited for the future and see where we go from there, know what we need to work on. But at the same time, it's like, they had me the whole season thinking, man, we're going to make the playoffs. We might do something here. And it's like, no, we still finished 6th.
Yeah.
If we were like 6th place the whole season, I've been like, what it is, I'll take it. But for the fact that we were up in the playoffs and then just dipped at the very end, it's like, that kind of stung a little bit. But
yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited for the future. We have some good picks coming up. We got some guys that I really like. We signed a lot of guys this year. We also got Hardman. Vinny Hinostroza is back, and he's had a resurgence. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they're going to do next year. And in fact, if the cap might go up with the new TV contracts and stuff like that. We get Toews back. Kirby Dach gets fully healthy. Figure out the goal. Get Lincoln in a good backup. We should be all right. And of course, with hopefully the divisions going back to normal, we'll never have to see the Florida teams again for a while, which I'll be okay with, because I am tired of those guys.
I'm tired of Nashville. Dude, we have like a 10-59-6 record against them.
Yeah, that's why they moved you out of the Western Conference and put you in the East, because they try to be nice to you, but you still are in a buzzsaw of a division. So
I tell you what, you know what it is, Alex? Just Nashville pays enough rent to other teams in the league with similar records, so we got to live rent free somewhere in the heads of Columbus Blue Jackets fans. It's got to happen. So, is what it is. But yeah, no, Chicago, they've got some good bright spots coming up. It'll be really interesting to see what Stan Bowman does in the offseason. Jeremy Colleton, I can only assume, is going to be back behind the bench next year, right? This is a young group. They weren't expecting to make the playoffs, right? So
no. He signed a 2-year contract extension before the season even started. So he's got about, I think he's got 1 year left, or he might have another year after that. So he's got 1 or 2 years left, and they're locked into Jeremy. So it'll be interesting,
Absolutely.
I miss Q, but I can kind of see why they needed a new voice.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same reason why Laviolette's in Washington now, right? Unfortunately, and I mean, again, same thing that Columbus is going through with Tortorella. I was listening to 31 Thoughts podcast with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman.
Of course,
it was nothing that John Tortorella necessarily did. It's been his pattern his whole career, right? In Vancouver, it was just 1 year too long. In New York, it was just 1 year too long. Tampa, same story. And then the other side of it is, here we are in Columbus again, same thing, just maybe 1 year too long of John Tortorella. And it's a cyclical thing with a lot of the older school coaches, right? It's the message lasts about 5 years and then it wears a little thin. So it'll be really interesting to see the transition period that they go through. And like I said, Columbus to me is one of the most exciting teams of the offseason. I didn't realize this either, but you guys are very much in on a possible Jack Eichel sweepstakes. I mean, he doesn't have a no trade clause kicking in for another 2 years. He could easily end up a Columbus Blue Jacket with the prospects and the picks that you guys could offer Buffalo. So like I said, they'll be a very interesting team to watch in the offseason. But yeah, it's good things on the horizon for you guys, but just not a playoff appearance. It's what happens occasionally in this league, right?
Well, yeah, it's one of those. It's just a bad year. Honestly, I'm already calling. I know we'll be back to the playoffs next year with the guys we have coming up, and the amount of capital that we have, especially for the draft. But having 3 first-round picks, the last time we had that, it turned into a whole bunch of nothing. The biggest thing that came out of that was Alexander Winberg, who doesn't play for us anymore.
Right. But you do have Yarmo now, so it'll be hopefully better for you guys. Now the question is, over under, how many minutes is it going to be before you order yourself a Jack Eichel jersey in that Columbus blue?
I don't know. Honestly, my next jersey is going to be Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Yeah, he was a player and a half for you guys this year. Wow.
Yeah,
he
probably
had a great
the year
season.
after. But
knowing you though, it would be like in the same cart. You'll get them together. You'll get them together. Come on,
but honestly, I base my jerseys off of. So when I get jerseys for Columbus, other teams doesn't overly matter, but I'm going to get somebody that either is a face of the franchise or, everybody knows. For example, the Hurricanes Whalers, it's a Sebastian Aho jersey. Everyone knows who that is.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Kirill Kaprizov, because he is, I don't want to say single-handedly, but almost single-handedly given the Wild a revival type thing. Yes. With the Habs, it's Carey Price. It's Corey Schneider with the Devils. It's one of those things. The Blue Jackets are different. I base it off of contracts. So, for example, do I have a Seth Jones jersey? No. Do I want one? Yes. Will I get one right now? No, because I'm not going to get one if he's going to be leaving the team in a year, or if he would possibly get traded next year. Now, same thing goes with Patrick Laine. If they re-sign Patrick Laine to like an 8-year deal, dude, I'll get his jersey right now. Like if something came across Twitter that he signed an 8-year deal or 7-year deal, I will literally, while we're doing this, go and order a jersey. I'll just get a custom jersey with his name and number on it. I don't even care. But yeah, I base all that stuff off of contracts and things like that. And since Eichel, I think, is signed for the next 15 years, then I would probably get one of his fairly soon. But yeah, I'm excited. It's one of those things that I like Torts. He's a great coach, but as you were saying, Max, he's kind of went past his welcome a little bit. He's got a shelf life. Every coach does. And I think he just went past that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just curious to see who we're going to hire next, because I think since Yarmo is preaching that it's not a rebuild, which I believe, and it's more of a reload, we just need a couple tools or different pieces that you have to base the coach around that too. You don't want to give a coach that has 0 head coaching experience and be like, hey, well, we're one piece away from making it back to the playoffs and being a contender. We're going to give a rookie a chance. No, that's not what you do at this point. You need somebody else. That's why it's like they gave an interview to Brad Larson, one of our assistant coaches. Do I legitimately think he's going to make it? No, I don't. I think that's more of a courtesy interview, but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
It's a long off season, though. There'll be a lot of names coming up. And you know what? It's a job that a lot of people are going to want. Like you said, you're only a couple of pieces away from really getting back into contention. And I mean, this is where I kind of had the hot take a little bit earlier in the year that maybe with Yarmo's, I guess, Finnish connections, his Scandinavian connections, maybe he heads over to Sweden and peels Rikard Gronberg out of there. But as you alluded to, right, do you give a guy that's, I guess, fresh to the NHL coaching game, although he's got a ton of international experience and credentials, who's probably worthy of a coaching job? Is that the right first job to give him as a team that is ready to go? I'm not so sure. Rick Tocchet, I think, would be a really good fit there for you guys. I think that's something.
Mike Babcock. Babcock.
When he's done at the University of Saskatchewan, yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, man, it'll be, you guys will have your names, right? I mean, that's the thing. Gerard Gallant's still out there. It'll be really interesting to see what Seattle does, but there's going to be a few teams looking for some good coaches, and there's some good ones on the market. So you guys will be in a good spot.
I think Tocchet's going to Seattle. I really think that Seattle's like, we want you to be our first coach, and Tocchet's kind of be like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Yeah,
I think I wonder my top 3 choices for Seattle are Gallant, and with him, my reasoning behind that is look at what he did with Vegas in the first year.
Yep,
you go to freaking finals, so you can't really get. The only way you can get better than that is win the cup.
Yeah,
and he did all of that very quickly. So I mean, I think he's up there. As weird as it sounds, I think John Tortorella's up there, even though I personally think he's going to go to Buffalo. because he's more of a change the culture type coach rather than be a powerhouse. I think Tocchet could go up there, but I don't see him at the top of that list, honestly. I think there's a lot of other guys that could be up there. I could see a Bruce Boudreau going up there or something along those lines, but I don't know. I think obviously Tocchet's on the list. He's an available coach. I personally don't think he's going to be in that top 3 or 4. I could see him. I think he's one of the top couple candidates for Columbus. And there's there's one coach that I do think that doesn't have any experience that would be good is Yuki Jalonen, not Sweden, Finland. Yeah, the Finland men's national head coach. But he has his ties. He's coached Patrick Laine before. He's coached Jonas Korpisalo. He's coached or he knows Jarmo really well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But there's a lot of possibilities that could go on with all that.
Absolutely.
So hitting these matchups. So let's start with the beautiful and glorious Battle of Florida. To start, let's make it simple. Who do you think is going to come out of that series and how many games?
Based on the playoff draft I did last night, I'm sure hoping it's Tampa. I ended up with a few of those guys in my my playoff pool, but you know what? I think this is underrated. I don't want to say underrated because obviously Tampa won the cup last year. How are you underrated if you won the cup? But this is sneaky going to be one of the most hate-filled, awesome hockey series to watch in the entire playoff landscape. You got to look at the scoring potentials of both of these two teams, both high octane, high power offenses that are quick strike. They can put up 2-3 goals in a matter of a minute, 2 minutes. It's just going to come down to, for me, the X factor in net for Florida. Is Chris Driedger and Sergei Bobrovsky? I mean, Bobrovsky should be able to, with a $10 million a year contract, should be able to hold down the fort, but he might not even be getting the start in game one. So to me, Florida's goaltending is really going to be what they live and die with. I don't necessarily know if Brandon Montour is going to be the replacement that for Aaron Ekblad that they need, although somebody that can still fill a role. It'll be interesting. But to go back to the question, quick and easy answer without much analysis, which is really hard for me to do, I'm going to call Tampa in 6 games.
Okay.
I think Tampa getting Kucherov back. He's been practicing for 2 months while Tampa's been circumventing the cap. Well, that's a topic for another day, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see with Stammer back in the fold as well, too. He's been missing for a month. And this crazy, crazy team of just superstars that just keep reloading year after year. Very well coached in John Cooper. I think it's Tampa in 6 to go through. And like I said, I know myself and my playoff draft are really hoping that's the case.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this series 100%. It's definitely a lot of people are looking at the Toronto and Montreal series.
It's sexy for names, that's for sure, right? Like it's Toronto,
it's
Montreal, it's Canada.
Dog. I see an ear flopping up and down. If you guys aren't watching the YouTube version, Zach is petting his dog, and I just see his dog's ear just flip-flopping around. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, she decided she wanted to be part of the video because she was like, "Oh, hey, you're sitting next to me. How would you pet me now?" It's,
get her a mic. Let's go.
Exactly. She's got some thoughts on Tampa and Florida. I know she does.
Yeah. But I honestly, it's going to be close for me. Personally, I think the equalizer is going to be Nikita Kucherov and how he returns. If he's going to come back and be filled with rust, I'm going to say Florida in 7. If he's going to come back, but essentially my thoughts are this: Game 1, John Cooper said that he and Stamkos are ready to go for Game 1. If Kucherov comes back and he gets a point, not a goal, not an assist, a point, I don't care. It doesn't matter which one. In Game 1, Tampa's going to win in 7. But I personally think either way, that series is going to go to 7, and it's going to be a very physical game.
Absolutely.
Series.
Yeah, regardless. And I think you nailed it right on the head, Alex, right? I think it's got to be like Kucherov is truly the X factor. I think him skating for a couple of months with the team is really going to help him transition easier back into the lineup. But man, Tampa just is so deep. Like it's scary how deep they are. Lines 1 through 4. We saw it this year multiple times as all of our teams had to play them 8 to 10 times each. But man, the other thing, I guess, when you evaluate it too, right? Vasilevsky, do you trust him over the tandem of Bobrovsky and Drieger. I think I got to go with, I'm assuming, going to be another Vezina Trophy winner in Vasilevsky. But yeah, man, it's as you said, it's going to be a fantastic series. It's honestly, it's a coin flip for me at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if I got to go with a name, I just love Tampa's depth. I love the goaltending. I love Vasilevsky. I don't love playing him. That's going to be interesting if, like I said, the next round that we preview goes the way that I want it to. But yeah, no, it's going to be really, really interesting to see a really, really bloodbath-filled series. I'm really looking forward to it for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Zach, who do you got coming out?
Honestly, I've been flip-flopping on. I've had a really hard time picking this series because, like Max said, like, either team could do something because you got Huberdeau and all those guys over in Florida. Mackenzie Weegar and Seth. Declare's been doing really well for them. Hornquist,
Sam Bennett has been a stud since he got there from Calgary. That's another pickup that they really have enjoyed so far.
Yeah, Sam Bennett, and then like you said, you got Drieger. Oh, by the way, they also have Spencer Knight as one of their other goalies, who is like one of the biggest studs coming out of the U.S. development team. I mean, and then you look over at Tampa, Vasilevsky. You still got Chiarelli. You still got Braden Point. You got Kucherov coming back. You got Stammer coming back. Like, that team is still a wagon as well. You look at their defense. Their defense is still really good. It's just, like Max said, like any team but they could win, and it's just, it's tough. Like you asked me an hour ago, I would have said Florida. You asked me an hour from now, I could say Tampa. And it's just like, you really you just don't know who to pick. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Florida and 7, but that's like I said, you asked me an hour from now, my mind could change. But if I had to put a stamp on it for the show prediction, Florida in 7, but that is a tough. This is probably one of those toughest picks of a division of the matchup in the playoffs that I've had. Every other one I've had, okay, I think this team is going to do it. This one, I think it's the hardest one for me to pick because both these teams have been so good all year. However those teams play, they can flip flop any night. Any team can steal a game, and they could win it in 6 if one team just gets hot and shuts down the other one. Or say in 7 games, if they get to 7, anyone can win it because whoever's goalie is hot that night, whoever defense steps up, and whoever gets a lucky goal. Like, we're probably gonna have a bunch of just floaters and just dirty goals and just battles in the front. And you're just gonna have a lot of greasy goals because that's how these two teams are, and it's just anything can happen in this series. So
I'm with you, Zach. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Zach. And this is one of those ones where, again, you sit on the fence and you watch and enjoy the games, and how it pans out is how it's going to pan out, because there's certainly no clear cut. I wouldn't say favorite in this one. That's for sure.
No, the other series, you could like Pittsburgh and Islanders. Yeah, you could make a case where either one of those could go 7 or 6, because there's one of those teams could do it. Boston and Washington, you could see go at 6 or 7, or if team gets hot and steals a couple, you're done in 5. The West, Vegas and Minnesota, steal a couple games, you can win that series quick. Colorado, I think they're going to do it in 4 because I hate St. Louis, but let's say you can do it in 6. That's because maybe St. Louis steals a couple, but this one, it's like you really don't know what's going to happen. Any team can win on any given night on a dirty goal, and it's just is what it is. And that's for me. This is the toughest matchup to pick by far.
I love the stateside battle of Florida, though. There's a lot of really good headlines in this one, and I mean, I think for me, anyways, the best part of being a sports fan, or at least the best part of being a hockey fan anyways, is always round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is fierce. It is intense. And especially this year with a lot of teams getting a little bit of extra rest. Typically you got those 3 days off, I guess, before the playoffs start. There are some teams looking upwards of over a week off here between our final game with Nashville against Carolina last year and kicking off the series Monday. It'll be a week off, which I know that for a lot of teams that are banged up right now, I mean, everybody's got injuries this time of year, as the old cliche goes. But man, oh man, this little bit of extra rest is going to lead to some really fiery intensity, and I think we're seeing that tonight in this first game kicking it off between Washington and Boston. It's just going to continue on. And I absolutely love the first round of playoffs across the board, regardless of who's playing. It's my favorite hockey to watch of all types of hockey. It really is.
Oh, for sure. Could you imagine if Calgary somehow got in the first round and it was Calgary Edmonton, or like in the first round, got battled in Alberta first round? Like that would be absolutely insane. So I mean, yeah, you get the Battle of Florida. You really can't go wrong with that. So.
Yeah, that one can replace the Battle of Alberta for me. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to get some eyeballs that otherwise wouldn't usually have gotten. So I'm really excited for the matchup. That's for sure.
Yeah, like there's going to be a lot of fights because we talked with Rod Pearson last night. Mm-hmm. You work with Rod.
Exactly. Yeah, I've met the guy once or twice. He's you
work with Rod. It's like
I'm acquainted with him.
Yeah, he's an acquaintance.
it's like there's gonna be a lot of fights with all the teams in the North. There's gonna be a lot of fights in this series. I think even for Carolina and Nashville, like these teams have faced each other so many times. There's so many teams that hate each other now. Mm-hmm. I think almost every game you're gonna have a fight this year, just because of the fact that everyone has seen each other too many times for their liking, and it's just like, all right, I'm done with you. Let's just go.
Fast forward a month from now when we get into the Final Four, I guess month and a half, whatever it is, it's going to be like, who are you guys when they're playing a team outside of the division? Oh, man, right. Yeah, these heated first couple of rounds.
Yeah. Look, a new team we can play with.
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody's going to do anything for the first 40 minutes because they're going to be hanging out wanting to exchange phone numbers. Be like, hey, I haven't seen you in a year and a half.
A little bit of tummy sticks at the blue line. It'll be all right, though. The intensity will fire up after those first 40. I have no doubt for sure.
Oh, no, just one sussy hit, and you're just like, all right, here we go. just one hit that might question, and you're like, all right, the playtime's over. Let's start beating each other faces in and start dropping some pucks.
Playoff hockey, baby. Yeah. Playoff hockey. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go on to the series that you actually came here to talk about, okay?
Sounds good.
So how many games is it going to take for the Hurricanes to beat the Predators?
9. I think Carolina's going to need an extra couple. No, you know what? When I break down Carolina, this is where I really have to take, I guess metaphorically speaking and physically, I got to take my Nashville Predators hat off to analyze this one fairly because, man, this is a very, very, very good hockey team. They're very well coached by Rod Brindamore. They're another incredibly deep lineup that has just been building to this point. This is one of those teams that's kind of been on the precipice for a couple of years now. They're definitely ready. I mean, 80 points, they were up there for President's Trophy contention. I was really hoping they get it because there's a nice curse that we all know about that happens when you get the President's Trophy. So it's just one of those teams that it scares the crap out of you if you're on the other end of it.
Yes.
When it comes to, again, just the depth of their lineup, right? You've got the jersey on right now. Alex Seb-Aho is one of the most offensively dynamic, gifted players in the entire league. Andrei Svechnikov, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite players, just watching him play night in, night out. He's an incredibly talented player. Dougie Hamilton on the blue line. And then you got a three-headed monster in net led by a rookie in Alex Nedeljkovic.
Dude, that kid has been absolutely phenomenal. Of course, you also too, Martin Nietzsche. You got Teuvo Teravainen, Jacob Slavin, Pesci, Nino Niederreiter. Like, you can go down through this entire roster of Hurricanes guys. You're just like, geez, who the heck let Carolina build this roster? Like, my word, it's just they got bodies all over the place and guys who can just drop pucks. It's insane. Like, this team, like, that's why Alex said, like, this is one of the most formidable teams at home. Like, you can't beat these guys. Like, if you do, you're going to be very lucky because I don't know what their home record was this year, but it's like, I think single digits in losses. Like, that's how good Carolina is. And I've been saying this to everyone, and I still haven't found the answer to this. Rod Brindamore potentially could be the first captain turned head coach of the same team to lead that team to a Stanley Cup. Like, I think he could do it just because of how he's taught this team. Like, they've been close so many times, and it's just crazy. It's crazy how good this team is, and it's just wild that they've been under the radar, but not really under the radar because of the fact that it's like, you know who the Hurricanes are, you know how good they are, but if you look at their roster, you're just like, how the heck did these guys build this roster? And it's like caught no one's attention outside of Aho, Svechnikov, the three guys on defense, and their goaltending. But you look at the rest of the roster, it's just like, oh yeah, they also have Jordan Stahl. Nino is there, and they fleeced Minnesota to get him, and you're just like, crap.
Yeah, they've drafted well, they've developed well, they've made really astute transactions, and I think it even goes back to the time before Ron Francis left, right? You've got him at the helm, and then it transitions into Don Waddell, and he's just again been a savant behind the controls of building this team. And they obviously had the ownership change at the top with Tom Dundon, and he explicitly said he's like, we want to be an exciting team that scores goals, and his first pick, I guess, was reflective of that when they took Svechnikov second overall a few years back. And yeah, we just go up and down the lineup, and there's not a weak spot, right? I remember playing minor hockey, and it's always like, oh, we'll beat this team. They got 3 kids on this third line that they're just plugs. They're not good. We're gonna beat them. That's not the case in the NHL with any team, but however, with Carolina, they are truly formidable. Lines 1 through 4, D 1 through 8. They and the Nashville Predators are very gifted defensively. I think defensively this series is a wash. I think that there's some very, very good talent on both sides of the blue line here. But for the Predators, I mean, this is where I got to put my fan hat back on again here. They were 27-1 coming down the stretch. They were literally 2 different hockey teams from the first half of the year to the second half. One of the top 3 teams in the league to finish the season. So, I know, right? We got about 6 of those wins against the Hawks. So maybe I don't know how much I read into this, but but anyways, final shot, Zach. I promise.
Yeah, it's right. Hey, I love the one that you had, the one you tagged me in on Twitter about the great promo. It's like, oh yeah, from Full Hockey. Like, yeah, that was. I have to tip my cap to you. That was actually pretty nice. But yeah, it's funny how you guys were just dead in the water. No one's worried about you. You're in 7th place, just fighting with Dallas for the most part. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, we know how to play hockey. And it's just like, all right, time to ruin everyone's day. And it's just like, all right, here you go.
And that's the thing that everybody forgets about the Predators, too. This is their 7th straight year making the playoffs, if you count last year's expanded format. I mean, this is a team that, again, they won a President's Trophy in 2018 after going to the Stanley Cup final in 2017. They could be considered one of those teams that they wait for the playoffs, right? I mean, they've had a good amount of success together with this group. The core's been together a while. It could just be one of those teams that we look at like a Washington in 2018, although they were a lot more formidable when they won their Stanley Cup in 2018 in the regular season. Man, it feels a lot like 2017 again. The Predators sneak into the final playoff spot. They got a really, really hot goaltender in UC Saros, who's going to get some Vezina votes this year. I don't think this series is going to be as much of a walk as everybody thinks it's going to be. I think it goes 7. I really do. I think it's where we're going to get a couple of home wins. Carolina's going to dominate at home. It could come down to Carolina having that home ice advantage in Game 7. But man, oh man, like I said, the Predators have been in playoff mode for 2 months now. They've had to fight for every single inch to get back into this race and close out the Dallas Stars, who are hot on their heels. This is where I believe they hold a bit of an advantage, especially with a week off here to kind of rest, rejuvenate. And this was also missing some key pieces of their lineup. Philip Forsberg was gone for 17 games with this massive stretch that they were on. Roman Josi missed time. Ryan Ellis missed time. Matt Duchene missed 22 games. Like, there was a lot of pieces missing from this team that we had to rely on young guys to get us through. And like I said, I wouldn't sleep on the Predators too much here, boys. This could be the upset that I see. Obviously, with a little bit of bias thrown in there, my heart certainly is telling me that there's a chance. My head is still going to call for a prediction that Carolina is going to win the series. But I always have to preface it with the fact of, you know what? I won't be surprised if the Predators find a way to win this in 7 games. I won't.
Hey, don't lose hope. Remember, the Blue Jackets were not even supposed to win a single game against Tampa Bay, let alone 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, speaking of that, kind of a similar story to 2017. Hey, I mean, Alex, if we're bringing up memories, right? Like, it's kind of a similar story. I mean, if we're going to compare notes,
what happened in 2017? Max, can you remind me? I think remember.
Chicago scored like 6 goals in 4 games or something. Like, it was just, again, they ran into the buzzsaw that is the Nashville Predators. So that was the effective end of their dynasty. So, I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zach, did you want to hop in on this conversation or?
I was going to bring up, he kept saying 2017, it was giving me PTSD about the fact that, that we live by that 1 goal mantra that we for some reason started. And 6 goals in 4 games, and we won the President's Trophy. But we still ended the season super cold. You guys showed up, and I was like, oh hey, see ya, have a good time. And it's like kind of broke our franchise for a little bit. But yeah, that was rough. I was also going to say before you decided to pile on there. Oh, I forgot you guys had Matt Duchene because,
dude, he has fallen off.
Yeah,
it's so frustrating.
Ever since he left Colorado, Duchene has not been someone you're like, oh, how's Matt Duchene doing? It's more like, wait, Matt Duchene's here?
Dude, he was great in his time with Columbus.
He was.
And he was very good. And then he went and signed with Nashville. And then he had a good couple of months to start last season. This season, man, he has just not been himself at all.
No, and I think again, you have to take the injury into account when evaluating Matt Duchene's season. And it's kind of funny, actually. I've separated Matt Duchene into pre-injury Matt Duchene, who was not good, and then when he came back as the team was kind of surging and getting back into playoff contention, they put him on the third line on right wing to really like start him back into his transition back. And he actually rejuvenated himself a little bit. He's found a bit of a groove here. He's playing some good hockey, certainly not an $8 million a year contract type of player, unfortunately, as I discredit him a little bit. And again, I don't mean to. I do like Matt Duchene, the player. I know what he's capable of doing, and I think he would echo the sentiment himself, just saying he's not happy with how things have gone. However,
I love him as a person. Don't get me wrong. I could separate the person from the player, but it's like as the player, yikes. As a person, hey, great dude. Like you want to have a beer with the guy, and but.
Yeah, no, it just has not quite been the same. But again, like you said, Alex, right, in his short time in Columbus when he was there as a rental, right, he performed pretty well. And I think when you look at Matt Duchene, this was, again, another thing of last year when they were in the bubble and had an unceremoniously quick exit to Arizona in 4 games. He had a really, really rough moment. I believe it was like he went offside. There was of course he did. It's the Matt Duchene rule for a reason. But he went offside. A goal was disallowed, and it really allowed Arizona to gain some momentum and get that second win of the series when it could have been a TSN turning point. And in Game 4, I want to say they healthy scratched him for Game 3. It was like in Game 2 or something. Whatever it is, I digress. He came back in Game 4, and he was a gamer. He came out. He scored a nice goal. He had a really, really good bounce back performance. And I really think that's where his game is trending right now in his last 10 games since he got back off of injured reserve. Again, he's an X factor in this series for me. If him and Ryan Johansson, again, another guy that regular season wise, he has just fallen off a cliff since he came from Columbus. But in the playoffs, man, the dude is a gamer. The dude shows up. He loves this time of year. And I think Matt Duchene, we're going to see that as well too. It's just a matter of, okay, if these guys can find a way to go on a run in a year where they're not supposed to win, it all will be forgiven on these contracts. All will be forgiven if they can, again, have this sort of renaissance moment going back to 17 where they've been humbled by the league a little bit. They had to sneak in and battle. And that's the thing. I don't even want to say sneak in. They earned their way back into this. I want to say Don Lucian in his model of projection, the Predators had a 2% chance of making the playoffs at one point of this season, and they battled all the way back and got into it. So there certainly wasn't a sneaking in for the Nashville Predators here. It's just going to be, wow, can they actually pull this off? This is a Goliath. This is a Chicago 2017 type of moment for this franchise. Can they rise to the occasion again with a new guy in between the pipes? Although he's a fellow Finnish countryman, can he do it again? I don't know. We'll see if UC Saros can be Pekka-like in 2017. But man, oh man, like I said, get ready for a fun, entertaining series. It's not going to be this 4-game walk that everybody in the media is making it out to be, though. I can tell you that for free.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, like you said, I 100% think that Ryjo and Duchene are both going to be equalizers. And the one thing is, another person for me is Philip Forsberg. Yeah. He really needs to step up a little. Not that he hasn't been good. He kills Columbus. I hated dealing with him this year. But if he can step up his game a little bit more, man, he can put a whooping on Carolina.
Absolutely.
It's going to depend on how their goalies are. With between what Mrazek, Nedeljkovic, and Reimer, which goalie you decide to get that day, because those guys, granted, while they had some fluctuation, Carolina still finished it with 80 points. I mean, they were not bad at all.
No.
But all three of these guys, when I think it was Mrazek was out for a while, Nedeljkovic came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And the dude's a stud as a rookie too. So there's a lot that can happen with that series. I think a lot of where the series will go kind of falls on the shoulders of those three guys with Nashville and UC Saros. So 4. If they can kind of crank their game up a little bit, who knows? Honestly, that series could go anywhere, but
it really could.
They're
absolutely
really going to have to dig in and take those games in Bridgestone, because if they don't, it's going to be very hard to beat Carolina in Carolina.
I have a I guess a premonition, let's call it. I think the Predators are going to find a way to get one of these 2 games, these first 2 in Carolina, and it is going to be a greasy, disgusting 2-1 second overtime winner. That's what's it's going to be. It's going to be a 2-1 second overtime winner. My premonition is not telling me who's going to score, but the Predators are going to get a very, very greasy win like that on the road, and that is going to be what kind of propels them to have a chance in this series. Because as you said, Alex, we have to take care of business at home because we know Carolina is going to be very, very tough to beat. But if we can get one of these first 2 games, get a little confidence going, find a way to beat, as you said, one of these 3-headed monsters in net, because they are 3 capable NHL starting goaltenders. Yep. If we can find a way to get one of those wins, no matter how, again, if it goes off somebody's ass, whatever it's got to be, it's just we got to get one of those first 2 in Carolina and Raleigh and beat those bunch of jerks just once in their home barn. It's just got to happen. So
totally get that. Zach, who do you think is going to come out of that series?
Careful, Zach. Careful.
In case I don't have any more association with you, Max, I gotta be nice about this. Is that what the case is?
Well, possibly. We'll see. I kind of like you. You're a good fella. So.
Oh well, I try. Yes, Alex. What?
That's the wrong team. That's the Hartford Whalers. It's not even the right team.
Well, if I know Max, you probably listen, and other people know who I've already picked to win the whole thing, past the divisions.
The Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, they're out, Zach. Sorry, your pick doesn't.
Darn it. I thought maybe that some way that the Predators would have to forfeit, the Hawks get in, but I guess not. But
they'll forfeit. Then Dallas has to forfeit.
Couple spots.
No one cares about Dallas. It's okay. But no, Carolina I'll give Nashville credit. I'll give Carolina 6. I was gonna say Carolina in 5, but I'm like, you know what? I'll give them 6.
Then you know what? That means I've done my job convincing you that, you know what, it's going to be a bit of a better series than most give it credit for. If they get an extra game after our discussion, then hey, I seem to have done my job in terms of articulating some points that point in a positive direction for the Predators.
So. Yeah, I mean, the only team I've said that's going to sweep is Colorado because I hate St. Louis. I even joked and said I wish Colorado would do it in 3 and just let St. Louis just forfeit game 4 because they know they're just toast. But
I love that line. I love it.
I wish you would go back to prior to last season. One of the preseason games, St. Louis was playing Columbus, and they had to cancel. I was actually on my way to that game, and they had to cancel because they were having equipment problems with their plane.
Oh.
So I still remember that, and it was a preseason game, so they didn't make it up. They're like, we don't really care. It really doesn't matter. So maybe that'll be the case. Colorado's going to play the first 3 games, and St. Louis is like, oh, our plane isn't working. And they're like, all right, cool. You're going to forfeit the game. Sweet. A sweep. That'll work.
See Jordan Binnington under the plane just taking things apart. I don't know what this does. It just throws it away. Yeah, that could very well be what it is. So
yeah. Or what I think. Well, because it's like what's the matchup? Is it like 2-2, 1-1-1 again? Is that how the playoff format's kind of shaped up?
Yeah, the format hasn't changed. It's just how they're going to reseed things coming down to the Final Four. That's going to be the biggest change.
Well, in that case, they're already going to be in St. Louis, so most likely it's like, oh no, the ice melted. We don't know what happened. It's like someone just turns the heater on and it just melts the ice. And it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. And
then we get Colorado in 3, as you predicted. Fantastic.
Yeah. Just call me Nostradamus. If they're like, Colorado wins this in 3, let's just pack this up. And I'm like, I am a genius. Pay me my millions, NHL. Let's go. But But no, I think I'll give, like I said, I'll give Nashville credit. They have been hot as of late. I took that into account, like thinking about it, because I'm like, you know what, like you said, Max, Nashville's been hot. They've won 20 games to finish off the season. They're kind of like riding a hot hand, and it's like, I don't want to say they're going to get swept, but 5 games you could see it. But if I'm being realistic, I see Carolina in 6, and they're going to make it interesting. But Carolina is too good to lose this series. It's not going to happen. 80 points, flirting with the President's Trophy. I'm sorry, Nashville has been hot, but Carolina is Carolina.
Hey, you know what? I tell you what, you don't have to be sorry whatsoever, because like I said, I take my Predators hat off all the time, and
I'll never be sorry. I'll never be sorry about Nashville.
Exactly, right?
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to take my hat off there when I analyze it. And you know what? Again, Carolina is a fantastic hockey team. There's taking absolutely nothing away from them. Again, my heart and my mind are telling me 2 very different things right now, and we all know what happens in life when those 2 are at odds. But with that being said, yes, Carolina is a very good team. And I think, again, if I'm to make a prediction, they do come out winning this series. But I do always have to throw a little faith behind my guys, because they've given me reason to believe, right? And as a sports fan, that's really all you can hope for, is a nice hot stretch down the road here. UC Saros, again, man, we say his name over and over again. He has been an absolute stud. And if he could be anything like Binnington in 19 or Rinne in 17, it always comes down to who's riding the hottest goalie. I always go back to J.S. Jaguar in 03, right? It's those types of names that can make or break a playoff run for teams. And I think of any goalie that's going to have the ability to do it, it's going to be UC Saros with what he's been doing the last couple of months for the Nashville Predators.
Man, because you like that series with Anaheim and New Jersey, I was pulling so hard for Anaheim because that's when you still had Korea. You still had Solani, and you still had those really
didn't have Solani in 03. He got moved to San Jose in 2001. Right. If we did have him, I bet you we would have won that series in 6, though.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah, I forgot they got rid of Solani by that point. Yeah. But you still had Korea, though, and you saw those really nice jerseys. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Could you imagine Paulie Korea hoisting a cup in Anaheim before they actually won it with those jerseys? I think if they won it, I don't think those jerseys would have been swapped out, because it's like, you want a cup in those things. You don't want
Oh, man, I dream about it all the time. I occasionally pop NHL 06 into the GameCube anyways and put Paul Kariya back on the Ducks just to see what it would look like in a digital version. And, man, it would have been glorious if they would have found a way to do it. But,
for me, I love NHL 94, but if I'm talking like the NHL game of the modern console era outside of Super Nintendo, out of the Super Nintendo, NHL 03 by far for me is the best NHL game. Track-wise, amazing. Like the soundtrack on that was amazing, but just for the fact of like how the game was, I love NHL 3. I think it's probably like one of my favorites, because you still have the Ducks jerseys of that time. And the good thing too is, like, if you did like a random draft, they would change Jerome McGinley's jersey on the main menu to whatever team he was drafted to. So like you could see him in different jerseys, which at that point you're like, you never see something like that where they actually animated the main cover guy on the main menu. But no, I love 03 though.
I have a theory about this, and before I get into that, NHL Hits 2003 is probably my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That one was incredible. But I go to NHL and the video game sector, and I think it has played a massive role in fans wanting to see transactions, because you can live in this fantasy world where Jerome McGinley becomes an Anaheim Mighty Duck, or he becomes a Columbus Blue Jacket or Chicago Blackhawk, and it kind of creates that craving for why the NHL trade deadline, everybody wants to see so much movement, is because subconsciously everybody's playing these games and they're like, oh, well, he's in a different jersey. I wonder what that would look like in real life, right? So I always have that thought and that association that the video game NHL world is a big reason why fans absolutely love seeing movement across, and this is all sports, but across the NHL in particular, that's why they love seeing transactions at any point in the season.
Yeah, and the fact too, like the music as well for those soundtracks, I think it got a lot of people into those games, because you say NHL and you say a certain game, you're like, oh, okay, I know that band and that from this game. Like for me, I first got into Queens of the Stone Age because one of their songs is on NHL 3.
3s and 7s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 3s and 7. No, it was I
I can't remember exactly. I thought
it
was 3s and 7s. Maybe it was on a different game.
No, it was No One Knows. No One Knows
yes.
was on that one. Then you have Avenged Sevenfold's Backcountry is on there as well. Let's not forget Jimmy Eats World's Sweetness was the opening track to that game, and that just automatically sent it to the stratosphere. That's for me. It's probably one of my favorite games because of that soundtrack. Found me a lot of those bands early on as a kid because I was like 12 at the time, and just that's what really got me into the genre of music that I'm in now. And it's just like those bands of that game really kicked it off. If you ask a lot of people, I think even Barred Down talked about it too. Like, and I think they talked to the guy who was in charge of finding the music for these games, and they wanted to do something different, and that's what just made NHL stand out from everyone else, and that's why FIFA tried to pick up on NFL because they found out soundtracks behind the games gets fans more hyped up for it because you don't want some boring menu. Like, you want something to listen to while you're playing the games, and I think NHL 03 started that trend of let's get some legit music on these games, and let's get fans hooked in more ways than one. So
I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. On all points that you nailed it right on the head. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why 03 is my favorite, just because of the fact of this kicking off just soundtrack music on games. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Alex, did you predict who was going to win the series? Alex.
I think we might have had a freeze out. Unless he's that good at staying incredibly still.
I don't know. I really can't tell, to be honest with you. I don't see.
You know what, though? I think we could probably safely predict it for him. Hopefully he's able to get back in and he's able to give us his numbers. But based on that jersey, I think he's going to roll with the Canes on this one. How many games, I guess, we'll hopefully get him back in here to kind of finish off that sentiment.
Yeah, he did text me. He just said, hold on. So I think there's something going. 5 games. All right.
5 games.
Gotcha. So Alex is saying 5. And I'm guessing we're going to say probably Hurricanes in this. But yeah.
If you didn't say the team, we have to assume Preds, right? If you didn't say the team, that's just only assumption.
It just says 5 games. So I'm guessing. We might have to debate this a little bit longer now because it's like, I wonder what that team is. Oh, he said Jack. Oh, Jack gets in 30. Yeah, no, sorry, Alex. That's not really. He's working. He says he's working on the issue right now, but
technology's great when it works, boys. When it doesn't, man, it's a fun thing. That's for sure.
So I guess go back to video games for a bit since Alex is dealing with this problem. So
why not?
So what was the first NHL game that you started playing? Like, what was the first one?
The first one, I think you already mentioned it, NHL 94 on the Super Nintendo. I was born in 1994, so I mean, I didn't play it until it was a few years old.
Wait. You were born in 94? You're younger than me.
94, February 3rd. I wouldn't lie to you.
March 20th of 91. Holy crap, dude. Yeah. Like, that's wild. That's why I thought you were about. I knew you were gonna be about my age. I didn't know he was gonna be like 27, but geez. So yeah.
Well, see, it's the facial hair. It always gets everybody, Zach, and that's why when I come up on playoff time, and me and Clark are probably. I think I convinced him today. I think we're gonna get him to take the razor out, and we'll get a clean shave on. But I look about 12, so that would definitely make it believable when I'm clean shaven on the face. That's for sure.
That's wild. Yeah, because it's weird because you're like looking at you. It's like there's no way, but man. That's crazy, but 94 was my first game. Was my first NHL game too. Super Nintendo, and Jeremy Roenick was just an absolute cheat code on that game.
Oh
I mean, I like the rewind that they did for NHL 21. For what I play on the 21 version. I'm like, I don't remember NHL 94 being this difficult to score on. Like there's like some games I've played on NHL 21's rewind of 94. On this current game. Now I'm like, dude, I am struggling to score goals. Like I remember as a kid, I'm like, I don't remember having like so many 2-1 games. Like there was games where you're like 4-2, 5-3, and it's like I can't score to save my life. Exactly. So it's wild.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
Yeah. You're silent. Can't hear you, bud.
Oh,
now we're good.
Fantastic. Okay, there it is. That's the stuff.
But Max, are you still struggling? Or did you struggle with that too with the 94 rewind? Like, are you having troubles as much as I am, or maybe I was just that bad at playing 94 again with these new guys?
You know what, man? I have to tell you, Zach. So it's kind of funny. So I had another playoff draft last night, obviously, as we were talking about the Canes and Florida series, and Canes and Florida. Geez, the Florida and Tampa series. Yeah. Man, last night I think was probably the first time I played video games in about 2 months. And I really have not had a chance to explore the game modes on many of the games that I've gotten. So I actually have not had a chance, but I will tell you this. It's kind of funny. I do have a Super Nintendo downstairs that I was hoping to hook up to actually play the real thing as opposed to going to rewind. So maybe I'll have to do a report. Maybe I'll do a stream of, hey, was NHL 94 harder on the original console, or is it harder in the NHL Rewind on 21? But yeah, man, I don't know. When I think of video games, I just think of like, where did we ever think we'd get to a point in our lives where they would be this? Like, it is absolutely insane. From graphics packages to just real elements to the game modes. Like, it's absolutely incredible. It's mind-numbing to think how far gaming has come since 94. Yeah, it's insane.
And for the fact, too, you look at it as well, like there's esports now. Like, you can go to college for esports marketing, and I'm like, where was this when I was going to school? And I'm like, I could have pumped so many hours into video gaming. Like, I could make video gaming where I'm making, like, I'm on a team making thousands of dollars. Or like, I'm like, where did I go wrong? Like, I can't believe it. Just give me like another like 5-6 years down the road of when I was actually born. I could have been like e-gaming. It's just, it's wild where it's at, like you said, because you're talking like, I remember when the PS1 came out, and that was like huge because you got like Soccer 96. You had like all these early games, like Crash Bandicoot comes out, Spyro, like N60. You also had N64 with N64 Mario, Mario Kart, like all these games, and even hockey too. And it's just like you're going from Super Nintendo, you're going from like 8-bit to now it's like these are so realistic. Like, I don't have a PS5 yet because I'm nowhere ready to get that because it's still hard to get and so expensive. But like, I watch gameplay, I still watch gameplays. But man, like, it is wild. Like, watching MLB The Show 21 on the PS5, and you're like, these are stupid realistic. Like,
oh, it's nuts, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, am I watching a video game or am I watching real life? Because it's like, that's just how kind of close it is. It's like, jeez. Yeah, it's come along with it. Of course, you go back and play the old games like NHL 94 or Zelda or stuff like that on the 8-bit. You're like, wow, I thought this was fantastic back then, but look at it now. You're like, jeez.
Hey, it still is fantastic.
Oh, it's still
it's timeless, right? It's like a fine wine. It just ages, right?
Yeah, there's certain games that ain't like fine wine. Like I said, Zelda, all these old Zelda games, Star Fox, NHL 96, Ken Griffey Jr.'s baseball.
Yeah,
there. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. There's some games you're like, I can still pop in the console or pop in the cartridge and still play the game. Like Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World. Let's go.
It's endless. The titles. Yeah, exactly, it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, best game. I know you guys were. I was trying to talk about it, but I guess my mic, all that stuff just was dumb.
Man, it's performing about as good as the jackets over there. Hey, Alex.
Yeah, that's great.
Because we thought you were doing the most ridiculous statue mime trick we've ever seen.
I thought it was a prank. I'm not gonna lie. I thought
that's my military training.
Yeah, we thought
stay super still.
It's like is he sleeping with his eyes open or something? It was just wild.
Yeah,
you were just like a statue. You were like just and like nothing. It was like. Jeez,
we were talking to you and there was no answer. So I was assuming you called the Preds in 5. So we're gonna roll with that, right? And
yeah, whatever.
Well, you did say 5 games, but you didn't specify what team. So
oh Lord, yeah, I had Canes in 5. Okay. I got to stick with it because I did my pool for that Rod has been putting out on Twitter.
Yep.
So I did my pool with them, and I also did my NHL bracket. And I was nice enough to let the Preds get a game, but I think that's it.
So very gracious of you.
So you know who your real friends are when they actually give you more than just a game. So keep that in mind if you want to if you want to do more stuff with you know who to call.
Absolutely.
I got you.
So if we're trying to talk about real friends here, who was it that early in the season decided, oh man, it'd be really funny if the Blue Jackets finished in last place?
I did that. I just did that as a joke, just to get under your skin. I didn't think they were actually going to do it.
You put it right into the universe, and the hockey gods took it and said, "All right, we can make that happen." Yeah.
Oh yeah. But back on the game real quick. My favorite one from a soundtrack perspective was by far MVP 06 NCAA baseball.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love that game.
That was fantastic. I do have to give credit though. I think it's NFL 04 Marshall Faulk on it when he was with the Rams. I think that also, because that's when you had Seether on there as well as one of their songs, and I think that game was
anything
really
pre-08 was fantastic from a music perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially for you're talking like EA games. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like
but
baseball,
I'm still the one that'll drive into the office or something, and I'll open up Spotify and I'll throw on like an old Linkin Park or Simple Plan, or do y'all even still listen to Blink 182? I'm 30. I don't care.
Who doesn't care?
I love Blink, man. That's another album that's timeless. It's not album, a band that's timeless.
Yeah, Avenged Sevenfold, Jimmy Eats World, like there's so many good bands that like you still listen to because that's what I was talking about. That's what I was saying with Max. It's like you get into the music because pre-08, like the early 2000s to about, before you hit 2010, you hit a really good sweet spot of good songs. And a lot of it was because of these games were able to they introduce you to these bands because by the time you're 12, 13, you've been listening to your parent. I grew up on Metallica, Def Leppard, a lot of hair metal and stuff like that, 80s music. Journey and all that, but then you hit the 2000s and you start listening to your own stuff, and it's like these games kind of propelled me into liking a lot of the music that I'm into. Linkin Park, like you said, Blink 182. It's just Seether, Papa Roach, like all of these bands, and it's just that's how it was because of how good the music was. Like you said, Alex, pre-08. That's what got us into the music that we're into, just because of those games. Yeah. That's what kicked it off.
And now a lot of these bands are coming back and having a resurgence and doing collabs with other band members. Like Papa Roach has been making a huge upbringing because they started doing stuff with the dude from TikTok, and these songs are amazing. Yeah, like they're so much better than the originals. It's insane.
And I think Tom DeLonge, he's bringing back another album for Angels and Airwaves because they were a good band that came up with him because that's his other band that he's done as well, and they have always had good music too. So yeah, it's insane of just how those bands that we listen to are making a resurgence. It's just because they have fans from that time period of like, oh, look at this video game, look at this soundtrack, I'm going to listen to it. And you're okay with being in the main menu or doing a bunch of other stuff that's not actually playing the game, but you're doing a lot of transactions or just a lot of other stuff because the music was so good.
Oh man, forget that. I had it pumped when I was vacuuming the basement. It's like I don't need a CD. I'm just gonna turn my video games on and bump to these tunes. It was the chore soundtrack too. But yeah, man, it shapes the identity of us, especially in terms of music taste. I'm with you. The video games and those songs from the sporting genre, and to this day, exactly at 27 years old, it's the exact same thing that I listened to back in those days. Same genres. It really hasn't changed too much because that was the identity it shaped for me playing those games so much growing up.
So we might date this video a little bit because of this update, but Bruins Caps OT right now tied at 2.
It's going to be a good series, man. It's going to be a good one.
So right now we're recording it on Saturday in the middle of game 1. So it depends on when this actually drops. You might be a little bit behind of what's going on, but yeah, right now 2-2 in OT, Bruins Caps, and I actually picked Bruins in 5.
Bruins in 5. I took Caps in 7 on this one. I took Caps in 7. So I tell you what, it's kind of funny though. Oh geez, I had a half a point and then it kind of left me there. But geez, I'm running out of steam, boys. I must have missed it. Anyways, I'll defer back to you, Zach. Maybe it'll catch me in half a second here. But
yeah, no, I had them in 5. Yeah, because we had Andrew from the Short Shift Pod, the Boston Bruins podcast, and I said 5, and he was just like, "Oh." So I'm like, we've had a lot of interesting picks over the last 2 days with having Rod on last night and Andrew, and we also had a guy Seth from Locked On Minnesota Wild too. So it's like we've talked a lot of hockey for the last couple of nights. So it's just like trying to rattle off names, rattle off stats, play all these matchups. It's just like, oh my word! But
it's that time of year, boys. It's that time of year. And my point kind of came back. My point came back to me of what is the biggest cliche this time of year? It has to be. Oh, it's going to be a good series. How many times have you heard that on every sort of piece of content that you've absorbed? And you can't escape it, even as you produce and make content. It always funnels its way into the conversation.
Dude, once you get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Buffalo and
Columbus.
Yeah, like, oh, that's gonna be good, dude. Buffalo and Detroit. Oh, now, dude, that's gonna be a good series.
Exactly.
No, it won't. But in the playoffs, yes, it will.
But
because it's the playoffs. Like you could say Ottawa and Toronto. You're like, that actually might not be too bad because Ottawa has had Toronto's number this year. Yep. So I know there's certain Leafs fans that might be like, we do not want to play Ottawa. Thank you very much. So they've given us enough problems. We'll not deal with that right now. And so Steve Dangle might say something about that. I think Clark might say something about that. So
we've had our jabs back and forth of what's going to happen with the Leafs, and I don't know. Maybe it must be something in the water that he's putting out for me, but. I'm believing that this could be a Leafs type of year where they at least win a round, where they get the monkey off their back and they do it for the first time in 16 years.
You know what?
So
actually, I did say there was I said Colorado was my only sweep. I'm wrong. I just remembered there was a second sweep, and that was Toronto over Montreal. So I do have Toronto with a sweep, but yeah, I totally forgot about that. I was like, no, I had two sweeps. I had two total sweeps in the entire first round, But Toronto's still not going to win a cup, so they can still
that streak will live on for a while.
Yes. And unfortunately for all the other fans of Canadian teams, you're still not gonna you're still gonna have to deal with 93 as your last cup. So sorry.
Yeah. Oh well. So before we start wrapping it up, totally hockey related, Max, favorite band.
Oh man, my favorite band currently or of all time?
All time.
Both.
Oh boys.
Let's give you all time and then current.
Okay.
Current. Make it easier for you.
Okay, sounds good. Of all time, and it's funny because I had to make this decision, I guess, based on how I was brought up. In addition to my love of movies, even though the movie wasn't fantastic, it was not a bad retelling, but I did like Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay. And Queen, I did not realize how many good bangers outside of We Are the Champions, We Will Rock You. I'm thinking of a third one now. They've got 15 to 20 just excellently legendary tracks. And I think if I had to pick an all-time favorite band, it'd have to be that one. And I've gained an appreciation for them more as I've gotten older. And then the storytelling behind Bohemian Rhapsody of kind of how it got going, and then going into, I became a Freddie Mercury junkie for like 3 months when that movie came out. I absorbed every piece of content I could. He lived a short life, but a very fascinating life. And
that's a fantastic movie.
Oh, it's so great. It's so
I think I'd have to go with Queen probably as my all-time favorite, though. Just with the diversity of the tracks too. Another One Bites the Dust. That was the third one that I was kind of thinking of there. But
you have like Radio. It's another good one. Want to Break Free. That's another great one too. There's so many good Queen songs out there that's like outside of the main ones that are always played constantly. There's so many good songs.
And then I think for my current one, I've got to go with the 1975. I absolutely love that genre of music. It's kind of that softer, it's that Euro style kind of English style type of just easy listening, but with some really kind of meaningful beats that kind of hit you right in the heart. It's just something that I don't know if you guys are familiar with them at all. I mean, they're definitely kind of blowing up a little bit more as of late. I want to say they've made an appearance on a soundtrack once or twice in the last 4 or 5 years, but the 1975, I highly recommend them if you haven't gone to check them out. They've got probably, I'd say 10 to 12 songs that are in heavy rotation for me right now.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you boys though? I want to defer it back to you guys. This is one of my favorite conversations. You boys, what do you got for all time and current?
I'll go first. Mine's easy, but for both, Linkin Park.
I love that pick. I love it.
But first 3 albums.
Yes.
Once you hit Minutes to Midnight, they took a dive, and I wasn't a fan. But I will listen to Meteora and Hybrid Theory every day for the rest of my life, and I will never get sick of it.
Absolutely, man. Oh man, rest in peace, Chester. He was a truly talented artist, and man, it sucks to see how it ended for him, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm with you 100% on Linkin Park. Great choice.
Yeah. And I still, outside of them, I mean, obviously Blink is a nice close second, but
you like Blink.
Stepping away from a band, I mean, dude, I still will listen to like circa 05, 06, 07 Nelly.
Yeah.
Like Air Force Ones, all that stuff.
There you go.
It was
There's
enjoyable.
some good beats in those tunes too. Absolutely.
Ride With Me and all that stuff. Yeah, there's some good ones. All right, so I guess all time Metallica, because that was just, especially because the first album I've heard of those guys was the Black Album. Yeah. So that's like a track. That is an album from like start to finish. You don't want to skip like that. It's not one of those songs. It's not one of those albums you want to shuffle because in a row they're just so great together. But just all their stuff in general. I mean, you got Death Magnetic. That album is so good. Ride the Lightning is really good. One. That whole Justice for All album was so great. I mean, some people are like didn't like Reload or Load, or I think it was Saint Anger. I like the Saint Anger album. I thought it was really good. I don't think there's any songs I don't like from them. Like all their songs are so good. It's just Master of Puppets. There's just so many good songs. And then current Breaking Benjamin has always been my current. Yeah, like that's
a great choice.
Yeah, because you got Breath, you got Diary of Jane, you got Cold. It's just there's no song from Breaking Benjamin I don't like. I would say a close second is Disturbed. That's another band I'm really
Disturbed
into
as well. Down with the Sickness.
Yeah, that's a great song. Liberate's another good one. Divide, their cover of Darkness, My Old Friend. That's a good one too. Yeah, there's I could Volbeat, Avenged Sevenfold. There's so many current bands that I can just list off that I just will put on a playlist and just listen to them because there's so many good songs. But yeah, Breaking Benjamin for me, if I had to pick a band, it's a 1A, 1B of Breaking and then Disturbed.
Can't go. Breaking Benjamin is up there for me too. That's funny, Zach. I'm very, very familiar with them, and I absolutely love their stuff too.
I would love to see those guys live, but man, there's so many good songs on those albums. It's just
honorable mention to Skillet as well. Skillet's a really good one for me too.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. Have you guys heard of Skillet before? Anyways, they're kind of a Christian.
Skillet.
Skillet. Yeah, there's a lot of Christian bands I'm into and stuff like that. I've actually seen Newsboys live twice.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. They were in South Carolina a couple of years back. They actually had their former members on tour with them for that super tour that they were doing. So they actually had the original guys there with them. But
man, how good is it going to be to get to go to concerts again? Oh, how good is it going to be?
Just to go do anything really, because we actually, me and my wife went out to the zoo today just to hang out and stuff. Just go and do something. So it was like, wow, we're actually out and doing stuff. It's like, what's this life?
It's back to normal-ish as what me and my significant other call it in our household. She can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm ready to go to see movies again and concerts and sports.
What a slate of movies we're going to have this summer too. Sure. Oh, guys, we're going to be on for like 4 hours if we dive into movies.
Yeah, I'm ready for sporting events live. That's going to be fun. But yeah, movies and stuff. All right, let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to have to do just an episode of just nothing but like mix of everything: music, movies, hockey, sports in general. Like we can
pop culture and sports. Let's do it.
There. All right. So on a new edition of the new podcast of pop culture and sports, here's our 5-hour 2-part episode.
On the new Stuff podcast where we just talk about stuff.
That's the title right there, Alex. You nailed it. Good stuff.
It's the Stuff Cast.
The Stuff Cast. I love it. I love it.
Stuff. It's all about the stuff. You guys say it like that. Just
Canadianized though. It's all about that stuff, eh?
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
There you go. All about that stuff, eh?
That's our slogan. It's all about that stuff, eh?
Absolutely.
Why not? But no, Max, thank you, dude. This has been a fun episode. A lot longer than we thought it was going to be. We're going to preview this division. But no, first we're going to talk Jackets Hawks for a little while. Actually, talk about the division. Then we just go on to a whole tangent about video games and music.
Hey, you know what? That's just the sign of a good pod, boys. You know what? I absolutely love the work you guys do. I love coming on and chatting with you. You guys are extraordinary gents. And like I said, I hope to be back on soon. And I know we're establishing a pattern of length here. I tell you, it's Clark. It's how he's trained me. I tell you, he can't get me to do short answers. So I'll try and keep it more concise the next time I'm on. But again, appreciate your time as always, guys. You guys are great.
No, we'd definitely love to have you on. We're definitely going to have you on a lot more often, especially off season. Probably, maybe we get later on into the playoffs, maybe after the playoffs next season as well. But the length of episodes, nah, we don't condone short episodes here. We try to keep them short, but we're also okay with keeping them a little bit longer, just because
Did I beat Rod? That's my number one question.
Yes.
Good stuff.
You did beat Rod. So you actually are going to be the longest episode out of the 4-part series that we have. So
okay, well, you know what? I'll take it. We had a lot of good sound bites.
Yeah. So stick taps to you, Max. You've outlasted everyone in the 4-part series, and we talked more than just hockey. So
it's not about like, hey, how do you think the Preds are going to do? Well, I don't know, dude. I really like Skillet, and we've got some really good bands from NHL 03. Makes a ton of sense.
That sounds like a conversation that people from Nashville had before the team actually got there, though, right? It's like the Nashville Predators. Oh, yeah, but you know what? Did you check out this band over at Tootsie's? Yeah, they're pretty good. So, boys, like I said, thank you guys very much again for the time. You guys are fantastic, and I'm happy again to do it whenever you guys have a chance. Thank you guys.
Oh, for sure. But before you go, though, where can people find you and find the guys over at Squadcast, you and Clark, and just everything else you guys got going on?
100%, guys. So we'll try and be quick with these links. We've established a few, but you can find myself at Ritzy_Max on Twitter, Max Ritz on Instagram, wherever else, Max Ritz, Facebook. You'll find me. You'll see me with some sort of Blue Jays or Preds gear adorned. But you can also find our stuff at the Squadcast on Instagram, or Squadcast_ on Instagram, and at Team RP Show on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to plug it. And like I said, we really appreciate the awareness that we gain from being on great podcasts like this one. So we appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Hey, we're just honored to have you and Clark. We got to get you and Clark back on again together so that way we can have
we can leave him out of it. It's fine. He's busy living life outside this dungeon. So
I'm sure. Yeah. I'll try to give Clark a call. Be like, hey, Max did a really good job today. Can you slip him an extra few pieces of bread in his?
Can he open the window? Can you turn on the AC for just a few minutes? Any sort of.
We'll get him on in a week or so after the Leafs lose the first round. He'll be free.
He'll be free. Yeah, Habs in 3, right? Habs in 3.
Yeah, Habs in 3. Yeah. We'll ask him. We'll ask him to give you like a 10-inch TV, black and white TV, so you at least watch something.
The Michael Scott plasma TV.
Yes,
that's the one that I need. That's
just make sure not to dip your steak in the wine, because I don't know how good that would actually taste.
No, I don't know if that was improv or what it was, but it was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
Iconic scene.
Just hopefully your significant other isn't trying to sell $10,000 worth of candles out of the garage. So
no, it's not candles for her. It's more so what's it called? Cat condos. That's the thing now, I guess. So I just let her do what she does, and I like to talk sports and video games. That's my MO. So I just leave her be.
Hey, there you go. Can't ask for nothing else than that, right?
Absolutely.
All right. But all right, Alex, where can people find us on the Twitterverse?
So you can find Zach at CLE Zach. You can find me, even though it's not here, because technology sucks. At Nuddle. Hey, look, I work in IT, and you're not going to find anybody that hates technology more than me.
It's funny how the IT guy had technical issues tonight. That's
Well, how
ironic,
it's because
right?
I'm doing a million things at once. So
exactly.
You can find me at @Nuddle_CBJ on Twitter. You can find the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast on Twitter as well at CannonHawksPod. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube as well. Go like and subscribe. Past that, Zach, what are we about here at the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast?
Well, we're all about the beer. We're all about the food. We're also about that hockey. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Adios.
See ya.